When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
All right, listeners, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. I am your host, as always, Colleen Biggs, and you know, week after week after week and episode after episode, we bring you some of the most amazing individuals out there, and we want to talk to them about, hey, well, how did you take the leap? What did you do? What kind of urged you to want to take the leap? And then, you know, we don't just talk about all the cheery, fun stuff that's going on for them now. We talk about the things that got them to where they are today and the lessons they're still learning. And we do this in hopes that you will take a nugget from every single show that we have that allows you to be able to add that and deposit that nugget of knowledge into action in your business, into action in your personal life. Because remember, we get to choose every day and design our lives exactly the way we want them to look. If you don't believe me, go back and listen to 114 episodes that we've done, because every single one is going to give you a little bit more access to knowledge of the things that you can change in your business or in your personal life to design it to be happier, healthier, wealthier, whatever that looks like for you. And today we're talking about being free and empowered. So I'm going to find out, like, hey, Noelle, what does being free mean to you? And I want you to ask yourself that question on today's episode. What does it mean to me to be free and to feel empowered? And Noelle Peterson is going to be our guest on today's show. But before we get to Noelle, I would love to thank today's sponsor of the show, Phoenix Drone Pros. And at Phoenix Drone Pros, we love what we do and are passionate about each and every drone photography and video shoot. We've been in business since 2017, recently franchised in 2023. Our talent and skills show in the video production we deliver. We offer fast service for commercial real estate, movies, events, construction site monitoring. We also provide drone virtual tours that are all the rage right now. These virtual tours are great for team building and entertainment. Contact us today at phoenixdronepros.com to schedule your shoot online and to get more information on how you can own your own drone company. We capture everything. Thank you, Phoenix Drone Pros, for being the sponsor of today's show. Now let's get to the goodness of bringing on Noelle Peterson. She's passionate about helping women step into their identity and power so they can create the life they desire. How perfect is this conversation today? She is the author of Dream Life Planner, Move from Tired and Overwhelmed to Free and Empowered, co-author of Achieve Wellness, and the pretty half of the Smiling Coach couple. Noelle helps women awaken their dreams and design a path to reach them. Noelle Peterson, welcome to today's show.
Thanks so much for having me, Colleen. It's a pleasure to share with you and just expand and talk with your audience.
Yeah. So I was just on Noelle's show, The Unstoppable Woman. It was so much fun. We had a conversation and I said, why don't we just be on each other's shows? Because it's another way for us to promote each other. And we have such an alignment of how we support women. And I love that you help women really kind of step into their identity. So let's start with that, Noelle. Where was it in your life that you felt that you had to maybe pause and uncover your identity and step into that? Because generally we assist others in the areas that we've learned profound lessons in. So what does that look like for you? Where has your life really taken some major pivotal turns that have really produced the results in what you're doing today?
So I had two situations over my years of where I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up, were the way I put it. I spent 15 years in Christian ministry, giving a lot of my time and energy, not necessarily where I needed to be, but that's where there was a need at the time. And then I spent 9 years in government working my way through the channels in the office. And again, after a life-saving surgery and 6 months recovery, I found myself sitting at the dining room table. What do I want to do when I grow up? And it's taken me a lot of time. I cannot say there was a specific moment that said, all right, this is it. But I felt there was more to life. There's something out there that would give me more fulfillment and more impact than just going through the motions. I wrote a book in the early parts of 22, Dream Life Planner, which it was me sitting at the table trying to figure out my life and not having the tools that I needed. So I tried putting together some activities and tools to help somebody think through those concepts that I was struggling with enough content to be able to actually sit down and process life.
We've got to reel this back really quick, Noelle,
Okay.
because you just glazed over the part that said I had a life-saving surgery and that stopped me in my tracks too. And I will tell you that most people it will. I've watched so many individuals around me lately have friends, sisters, family members get diagnosis of cancer and they're terminal. And it's changed everybody. It changes everybody's life in that moment. So talk us through like when that happened to you, what kind of went through your head? What were the feelings through that?
I've had surgeries in my life. I've gone through different things. I've got broken bones. I've had cosmetic surgery. So for me, it was just another surgery.
Mm-hmm.
I had a sharp pain in my neck on a Monday morning. Everything was normal. I was not under a doctor's care for anything. And about 2-3 hours later, I was in open heart surgery.
Oh my gosh.
My husband refers to it as a near-death experience.
Mm-hmm.
If I had not gone to surgery, I would not be here. It was life-threatening. My aorta came apart.
Oh my goodness.
Basically. But for me, I have surgery that needs done, sign the paper, I roll into surgery, I come back out and have to recover. So I spent 13 days in ICU and cardiac care, and then about 3 months of altering medications to get my blood pressure under control. So for me, I feel like it was ordinary. It was just a recovery. But for my family, it was a near-death experience.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not something that you can watch for. It's not something you can get a diagnosis for, or they can test for. It is an in-the-moment diagnosis in the ER if they take the right tests and the right steps forward. So for my kids who are 23 and 26, it is a daily reminder, as often as I can tell them, that if you don't feel right, get tested. You have to get checked, because if this happens to you, you have to be in the right place at the right time. You have about a 3 to 6 hour window, I would guess, 4-hour window, that if they don't find it, you're not going to recover.
Wow. So that was scary. Emotionally, we should talk about that, because not only for you, physically having to recover now and spend every waking day for pretty much 4 months from the time you went in, just recovering and taking care of your body and reteaching your body all the things, breathing and all the things it needs to do, right? Through that process, we actually had a member of our community that teaches our speed networking had almost the exact same thing happen. And she wasn't feeling well, shortness of breath. She said, well, just let me put my tennis shoes on and you can drive me to the hospital. And she went to lean over to put her tennis shoes on. And that was when she passed out, and he called 911, and she had open heart surgery, went straight in. And I mean, life or death, that is so scary, Noelle, that those things can happen so quickly. And we need to remember we're not robots, right? Like, we've got to take care of our body. And it's not even a lack of taking care of your body. It's just something that could happen,
right,
to yourself. But then, your family then goes through the emotion of mom being sick and going through this now and having to recover, and the worry. And it kind of, I'm sure, changed everybody's view and life in your family, your husband, Robert, your children. It doesn't just change your outlook. And why do you think it takes something like this to slow us down to say, what do I really want out of life? What do I really want my legacy, which I don't believe is achievement. I believe legacy is what everything you've done, words you've told people, things that it's just what we pass on and leave behind. Why does it take, do you think, women this blow for us to say, hey, maybe I should think about what I want the rest of my life to look like?
Because we don't think of us. We don't take the time to stop and evaluate who we are, what we're doing. Are we doing the things that are right for our body, are right for our soul and our being? Mm-hmm. It is so much about our family. I mean, this morning I was having a conversation with Robert. That's why is it that, I mean, I'm struggling with this myself, that when I want to make an affirmation or a manifestation or dream, what is out there? What do I want? You think about Napoleon Hill's burning desire. What do I want out of life? I struggle to say I want anything because my desires are for the family. Mm-hmm. My husband and I are empty nesters, so it's just the two of us. So my kids aren't as a part of that picture, but it's still not me. What I want in life is for the family to be happy. There are, I can say I want to feel this way or I want to do that, but what do I want for dinner? I don't know. What do you want? It has to be for both of us. So taking the time to evaluate who we are at the core, what is our identity? What is it that we value most, which could be different for everybody. We all have different perspectives. And even if you say, I value family, what does that mean to you? Because that is going to be different depending on your family and how you were raised. Mm-hmm. But to evaluate who you are isn't in our training. We don't think about us at all.
That's right. Yeah. And I'm sure that was that a piece of what really brought you into doing and starting the business that you have now, because you are not the only one out there. I mean, you and I, Noelle, were raised in a different era that our mothers, our grandmothers, and our great grandmothers, they're all raised the same, which was, you provide food for the family. And then if there's not enough food, you don't eat, right? Like you eat last. And that's just kind of how I was raised. So then, you just keep duplicating this over and over again until some wrench is thrown in this to say, hey, wait, do we want our next generation being raised this way, where women feel like they feel like they don't have a voice, not because it's being suppressed by anybody else. They themselves feel that they don't have permission and don't even know what their own voice is or what they want. And when you said that, I don't even know what I want, if you asked Robert, my husband's the same name, hey, Robert, what do you want for dinner? He might be like, oh, yeah, I've been really craving Mexican lately. We should go for Mexican food. And you're like, okay, yeah, that's great. But like, they'll know exactly what they want or will voice, an opinion. And it's in their DNA, right? They're providers. It's just the way their DNA is. We're nurturers. It's in our DNA. But I do believe that you probably now work with so many women, and you talked about identity. That identity is who you were when you were born. It's who you are without a husband, without children, without a family, without all of these other people that you feel you need to serve and take care of. But it's you, like, what does Noelle Peterson want? And you changed your last name, did you not, when you got married? So did I. So I think that's another piece that we forget about, is like my identity might have been tied to my name, which, by the way, was my father's name. And then now I changed that when I got married. And if you get married more than once, like I did, and it changes a couple of times, your identity is all these last names of people that are other people. They're 100%. Not you.
we change our roles. We become a mom. We become a sister. We become an aunt. We're a friend. We're an employee. We're an employer. We're a boss. All those roles. And we tend to gravitate to what that role is as who we are. Yeah. And I feel like we don't, as women, take time to stop and wait a second, who am I in this? And I think that we, in general, the majority of people don't evaluate who they are. They don't take time to process and improve who they are. This is who I am. This is the way I was brought up. This is what's happened to me. This is who I am. We're moving on. I can't change it. But we can. We can take the time to say, I want to be this instead. And what is it going to take to be that? And we have the choice. We just don't make the choice.
Yeah. What have you uncovered with your clients, Noelle? Why do you find that, or what state are women in when they come to you? Where are they at in their life? What decisions have they decided they want to make? Or is it because they're just so lost and they don't want to go to therapy? So, they want to work with a life coach. Explain that to me.
Yeah, it's the seeking that there's more to life. There's something out there.
Mm-hmm.
They're going through a change, whether that's, divorce, marriage, losing kids going off to college. I mean, we grow with our kids and sometimes we don't grow with our kids.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to grow and learn to become an influencer, just like we do at work.
Mm-hmm.
We want to influence those around us. And for some reason, we tend to, try and keep the kids close. We got to spend as much time with them as possible, but then we're smothering them at some point.
Yeah.
But we've got to grow. And so women, I think, feel that they are at a point they don't know how to grow. I mean, we've done so much and we've learned in our niche, we learned our skills, but we don't learn to take care of us. And so it's at that point that we need somebody else to help us.
I'm so glad you said that, because especially women leaving corporate America, and I'll have to ask you this, Noelle, I went through this really bad, like crying in the fetal position in the corner of my room. And I'm a pretty strong woman. That kind of stuff has never happened to me before. And it was a regular day. I was meeting the person that was on the front of my magazine in Phoenix. I was giving her a bunch of copies, taking her to lunch. And I just felt so out of sorts that day. I just wanted to cry at the drop of anything. I felt very emotional. When I got home, I just started crying and I could not stop. And I realized at that point, it was the transition of going from corporate to being an entrepreneur and realizing like my self-worth felt like it was tied to how much money I made and what I did. And then not having that, I felt worthless and it caught up to me. How many women do you talk to that have an identity they're just a mom? And then when the kids leave for empty nester, then they feel like I lost half of my, my being, like an arm got chopped off.
That's it. It's our being and our worth is tied up in our service to our family. And we've got to be able and willing to step back and think, who am I? And it's hard to think about us. It is very, very difficult to
do on our own, especially. Mm-hmm. This is something that I don't think anybody can do by themselves. Self-reflection is good, but moving through it without the assistance of someone else that can see all the blind spots that you can't see in yourself and what you're doing to hold yourself back or what you're not acknowledging or what you're afraid to say, that you can't do it by yourself, can you?
You can't. No. We don't grow. Mm-mm. We don't move. And we go through school with mentors and teachers and friends. We don't go through college alone. There is no book that you read to say, okay, now you have the skills to be an EMT. It doesn't work that way. You've got to be shown what to do. You talked on my show about being mentors and working with somebody who's further down the road than you. I had another person who told us, I think it's, you should have 3 mentors, 2 coaches, and a mastermind. Mm-hmm. Everybody should have those 6 things. And it's not just one coach, not just one mentor. There's different reasons. Yeah. You want somebody that's further down the road in this way, or further down the road in this way, or that knows the skills to help you work through this problem. Yes. So everybody's different.
I think that's so important. I have a lot of women come to me because I speak and they say, can you teach me how to be a speaker? And I am not in the desperation mode. And I don't need you as a client to pay me to teach you how to speak. And so I'll say, no, I'm not a speaking coach. In fact, I'm going to refer you to my speaking coach. She's fantastic. One of my best friends. So I refer all my business to her when someone comes to me, where I think a lot of women, that are coaches, sometimes they'll take clients that aren't in their niche, right? Like, no, that's not what I do. I could teach you that. Sure. You could pay me. and you could probably be successful at it, but that's not where I want to spend my time. I'd rather refer that out. But yeah, a health coach, a speaking coach, a business coach, whatever, a financial coach, whatever you need in your life. I totally agree with you, Noelle. This is a time in now in reality where coaches, think about it. When you had little kids, would you drop your child off at soccer without a coach there? None of us would have done that. Never. And the coach's responsibility was to bring out the best in those children, to teach them, to bring it out of them, not to beat it into them or do it for them, right? Yet a lot of people hire coaches thinking the coach is going to do it for me. They're going to create success in my business for me. They're going to create my courses for me. They're going to do whatever it is. And it's like, no, you've still got to do the work. They're just going to give you the knowledge and the tools and fill in the gaps and let you know where your blind spots are.
They want a boss.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Like, just tell me what to do. A lot of people are. And it's like, well, I could tell you to do it exactly the way I do it and it'll work for me every time, but it probably won't work for you.
Right. Yeah. And that's the recognition. What I did for me. And so you've got to take what the coach and mentor says and filter it through who you are and make it work for you, because we're all different. Mm-hmm. And like you said on my show, we're not in competition with each other. Because everybody's going to resonate with a coach differently, with a person differently. We all have different skills, abilities, experiences that have brought us to where we are. Mm-hmm. And I spent 30 years thinking I had nothing special. I was just an ordinary person. But ordinary to me is different, is extraordinary to somebody else.
It is. I'm so glad you said that, because our common sense is not somebody else's commonplace, right? We need to remember that. Because we might think, oh, well, why don't they just know that? And I kind of thought that when I left corporate America, and I wasn't planning on working with entrepreneurs at the time in consulting. And I was just struggling with everyone I was running into, like, why are they doing that? Why don't they know they're not supposed to do that? And then I thought, oh, wait, all my training and all my skill sets and all my knowledge over the past, 20 years doing this, I know that because of that. They've probably never been through that training and they don't know. Right. Yeah.
Well, and even going back to how we were raised as our parents, my daughter's 26 and in a marriage 2 years in, and their upbringing, even though we're in the same state, is completely different. Mm-hmm. Their thought process, their baggage, just the way families work together is different. And so you have to mold that.
So let's talk about being free and empowered. Do you, Noelle, feel now, doing what you're doing and the choices that you've made, that you feel free and empowered?
I'm working on it. I feel much more free and empowered than when I worked for the government. I feel like I'm me. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And when you have that feeling, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When you're doing what you are meant to do, wherever that might be, you just love getting up in the morning. Mm-hmm. It's enjoyable to have that alarm go off. And actually, I'm not sure I've woken up to the alarm in weeks. It's been waking up before the alarm because I want to get going. I want to write. I want to talk to these ladies. I want to work and come up with new programs to help more people. Mm-hmm. My goal is to have healthy relationships. So that's the marriage relationship, friends relationship, coworkers. If you can be who you are, you can be a better person, a better impact, and you can love doing your job and spread that even more so.
Yeah, it's really leaning into one of the highest habits of a high performer, which is leadership. It's leaning into being a leader, which is the biggest responsibility out there, is bringing out the best in other people and them feeling empowered to do that for themselves, right? And that's why coaches generally have, off the charts as far as satisfaction of what they do. And what you're talking about is waking up every day with purpose and feeling purposeful. And you don't have to uncover your purpose necessarily. You just have to have one. And you've got to drive toward that every day, right? And being free, what's that feeling for you? You said you every day you feel more free. What is that? Explain that, what that feels like to us, so a woman out there can know, yeah, I feel free, or no, I don't feel that way. So I need to call Noelle.
Yeah, I mean, feeling free is that ability to do and be who you are.
Mm-hmm.
I can write a book today, or I can sit down and have 10 phone calls with women. I can schedule podcasts. I can do whatever I want to do. And how I schedule my week, how I plan out work, how I function is up to me. It's if I can plan and be prepared, and you've talked about your spreadsheets, and I think we're very similar in that organizational way. But if you be prepared for what life can bring and have things scheduled out, and I can go on vacation in a couple of weeks, and it's not going to hurt anybody. I can turn off the computer and spend my Fridays with my granddaughter because she comes by, and she's 15 months tomorrow, and it is just fun. I can do the things that are enjoyable, and have those wonderful conversations, and helping women get to that free feeling of, I enjoy my life. I want to be available. I want to do my job. I want to spend time with my kids. I want to love on my husband when he comes home from work. That's the joy for me. And helping women get to that point and find that underlying purpose to their lives. So they can be very impactful.
I love that. I think listeners out there, if you're finding yourself checking out, maybe you can't wait for the kids to go to bed so you can just like binge Netflix, or, you're numbing with drugs, like evening sleeping pills or alcohol or any of those things. If you find yourself kind of checking out, that's what I call it, right? Checking out. And kind of pulling yourself back from the joys of what life brings us, then you probably need to contact Noelle for one, because this is an area where I think that's a sure sign that you're struggling, because you're not wanting to be engaged with others. You're not excited about life. You're, not wanting to get up with the alarm clock every day, and you're struggling. Like there's a real struggle going on. And this might be, something that's affecting you at work and you don't even know it, but if you were to work through that with someone and find out, oh yeah, now I know it's my career, or the way my perception is of my career, and you were able to shift some things around in your life. Sometimes a lot of it's perception, and shift some things around, we could be a lot happier. And I mean, I think that's what Noelle wants for you, and why she works with women is for that purpose. Is that right, Noelle?
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing. We want to be free. We want to enjoy life. The other way to word it is going through the motions. If you're just doing the same old because that's what you've done forever, think about it. Is that really what you want to be doing?
It's going to get the same results, right? So if you want something different in your life, like you talked about, designing your life to be free and empowered. If we want that, what do we have to do, Noelle? You obviously know we have to make changes. So if you're going to do the same thing every day, you're going to get the same results. If you want changes in your life, you want to be happier, you want to be freer. It could be anything, right? It could be, losing weight or your career or whatever. But yeah, 1,000%, Noelle is here for that. And so she works with you on your identity, your values, your boundaries, by raising your awareness of your innate purpose and desire, allowing you to align your daily tasks and goals with your life's dream. And so I'm going to ask you this today, and Noelle and I are challenging you to say, do you know what you want? Do you really know what you want in life? And if you do know and you're not getting it, I want to ask the question, why? Right, Noelle? Why are they not getting what they want? Are they afraid to go after it? Do they think they're not worthy of it? Do they think they're not enough? What have you found?
What are you afraid of?
Yeah.
What is the fear that's holding you back? And the limiting beliefs are astronomical. And what is it that you really, really want? Napoleon Hill has a whole chapter on that burning desire. What is it that you want so bad? And if you don't know it, spend some time evaluating. But then it's, what are you going to do about it? And why aren't you getting it? What's happening in life that's holding you back from achieving that? Because I would challenge that it's fear. Something inside you is afraid of rejection or afraid of other emotions that are going to come up, whether they're valid or not.
Mm-hmm.
And we can work through them once you acknowledge what it is. One of the activities we do is work on limiting beliefs and talk about what has happened over your life. What influences have you had? And like breaking it down by decades to look at who and how people influenced you and thoughts that are going through your head, whether you know they're there or not, and then work on changing them to become the person that's worthy of that dream that you want.
And sometimes it's not even fear of failure. Sometimes that fear that false evidence appearing real that we create is what? Like they're afraid to be successful. Mm-hmm. They're afraid that they are going to get the job. And then now what? What if everyone thinks I'm a fraud? That's exactly what that looks like. So Noelle, I know that we've piqued some interest of some women listening today. And they're like, yeah, I am in this and I've never really thought about hiring a life coach to help me through this because maybe in my world, I've only thought about therapists or I'm struggling with a divorce or my kids did leave school. And I just remember when my kids all left the house, I looked at my husband and I was like, so now what am I? Like I was a mom now. He's like, you're still a mom. The kids still need you. But in my mind, it wasn't the same. Right. So we do struggle with that. So let's just be real and face it. Where can they connect with you? How do you want them to reach out to you? And what do you have for them today?
So you can do a quick, easy text. If you text the word women to 55444, that'll put you on my list and I'll contact you and we can get in touch that way. Or my website is empower2dream.com with the 2 being the number 2, empower to dream.
I love that. Empower2dream.com. And you can also connect with her on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. We have all of those right here at your fingertips already ready for you, whether you're watching this video on Facebook or if you're listening to the podcast. All the links are there for you. You can just click on them at your fingertips and be sure to reach out to her to let her know that you heard her on today's show, Take the Leap. And we just, you're the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that will ever be. And as Noelle shared with you, that could get cut short really, really, really fast. We are not promised tomorrow, and life could just knock you down and everything can change in an instant. So the conversations that people have at the end of life are never ever about how proud they are of everything they've accomplished. It's always the things they didn't do. Don't be the statistic. Be proud of the legacy that you leave behind. What does that look like for you? What do you want to be teaching your grandkids? Right? I think about that all the time. What do I want them to know about me? What lessons do I want to teach them that maybe I failed to teach my own children, but now I could teach my grandkids, right? There's still time, but we don't know when the time's over. So I live my life every day knowing tomorrow might not come. So that's what pushes me to do vacations. It's what pushes me to spend more time with family and grandkids when I could be working. But I know I'm going to spend that time with them. So Noelle, you taught us a lot of lessons today on today's show. And I want to thank you so much for being a guest. So everybody text women to 55444 so you can connect directly with Noelle. She is an amazing individual. I know that she's always looking for guests on her Unstoppable Women podcast, another place for you to be able to connect with her as well. And make sure you download that podcast and listen on a regular basis. I'm sure you will absolutely enjoy the show. It was a fun show that we did today. And Noelle, thank you again for being a guest on Take the Leap.
Thank you so much, Colleen.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And until next time, do not forget, be you and be strong. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for joining us on this journey of self-discovery, where you learned the tools to create a life by design. Remember, you are the only you there is, and you are the only you that will ever be. Be you and be strong, because you are brilliant, and the world needs you at your best. We cannot wait for you to join us again next time.